Hey guys, real quick, before I give the introduction for this next video, I just want to give a quick announcement on behalf of our Ripple Effect Fatherhood movement. For those of you who watch on YouTube, you can now also listen because we are now streaming all of our Ripple Effect Fatherhood interviews, solo segments, and etc. And I mean etc. because there's more to come. We're now streaming on all podcast platforms. So Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Amazon, you name it. Spent a lot of late nights trying to get those up and running. So definitely go enjoy, listen, and share. All right, hey, what's up, guys? Christian Van Buren here. I am the co-founder of Ripple Effect Fatherhood. Those of you that are watching this intro with your eyes, this is my son, Kylan Kodo Van Buren, just hanging out. But with that being said, I just want to say that I'm extremely thankful, and us at Ripple Effect Fatherhood are very honored to have had our next guest on here. My friend Dylan Syms shares his story and gives us some insight into how he took the negatives that he experienced as a child from his experience of fatherhood and turned them into positives into his own walk of fatherhood right now. And so I just want to put it out there for those of you that are listening. He does mention he does talk about some of the abuse that he experienced as a child. He doesn't go into detail, but he does talk about it. So I just want to kind of get that warning out there. However, definitely stick around and to just hear his story and hear how he's turned it around for the better, for the benefit of his wife and his two beautiful daughters. So those of you that are watching, please make sure you share this because you never know how it could impact somebody out there. Right, so share. And for those of you that are on social media, we are found at re.fatherhood on Instagram and Facebook. So I hope you guys enjoy. And as always, thank you for being here. First off, let me say, like I told you earlier, I'm super grateful that you were willing to do this, sit down with us, and just put more positive content out there for other fathers to see and be inspired by. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for our audience, man.
My name is Dylan. Some people call me Syms. I've been around Taylor for a little while. I have some family here. And,
Okay.
I went to school at the Taylor High School in local town, Gerald. Been here probably about 5-6 years now.
5-6 years.
I have two little girls, a 9-year-old and a 9-month-old.
Okay.
And my wife, Abby.
So we're here actually at Dylan's house, by the way. So just came over here and thank you for welcoming me into your home, man. Mm-hmm. I'm just excited to, like I said, just have a great dialogue with you. But what do you do for work?
I actually have two jobs right now. I currently work at Walmart, and I also do real estate in the morning. So I don't know if some of you guys may follow me on Facebook or wherever.
For sure.
You go out and get out and work every day, man. And my biggest motivation is definitely my children.
Amen.
Definitely,
Amen to that. So for those of y'all that are watching, real estate agent, and he's doing Walmart part-time. So that's very commendable what you got to do. At the end of the day, you're doing what you got to do to provide for your family.
That's it.
But I do know that real estate is
competitive.
It's competitive. It's its own beast. So so I commend you for that. But
I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand though with just like we talk about being a good dad and being present. Because I feel like just the other day I was at the swimming pool with my daughters and I'm just having a conversation with one of the bystanders and they're like, oh, well, you do real estate? And I'm actually looking for an apartment and I'm just hanging out with my family, God family, and it just happens.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So you're able to help people out pretty much wherever you go as a real estate agent.
Yeah. Nice. That's the wonderful thing about it. You just kind of wherever.
Okay. Sweet. My first question for you is what motivates you? Because you told me what motivates you to go out and work like you do with your kids. What motivates you to be a present father in your kids' lives?
I would have to say growing up, my mother, she was present, of course. She we at first she was a single mom, and then I met my stepfather, and she was alcoholic, and my stepfather was also abusive. So I kind of, you know, went through the trials and tribulations of that. She was going through medical school while I would be home, you know, with my stepfather, and she getting beat up or whatever. And then she would come home and he would beat up on her, and you're watching that, and you're like, I know I got to do better than that. You know what I mean? Man. It's just, you see, and then like growing up, I had a lot of male role models. I feel like, you're just like, I take example from them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. So, I mean, and the part that really amazes me is that despite what you witnessed as a child, right? Because the things that you were witnessing at home, you knew they weren't right. But
definitely,
yeah,
she's like coming home from work, and then she would go to school, and then she would come home, and it's like he's on like, well, why didn't you do this? And it's like, yeah, dude, like she's trying to not only better our future, but she's already present. And you're sitting at home,
man. And so and with that being said, I'm so amazed at the fact that you took that and you flipped it and you said, okay, that's not how I want to be. I'm not going to use what I witnessed as an excuse to follow down that same path, right?
And I feel like that is hard too, because I notice, I have friends, or not anymore really, because that's kind of like, look, after you have kids, you just kind of you let go of everybody who's I mean, and that, or like no BS, you don't have time for the BS,
right, and you kind of figure out who the real friends are and stuff,
and like I know guys who went through things, and it's like they treat their their significant other like not appropriately,
right,
they're yelling at them, or they're getting into arguments, they're not happy, it's toxic or whatever,
right. With that being said, you spoke a little bit about your mom. Aside from the things that you said that she struggled with,
she was a real warrior.
Yeah. So my question is, you said she was going to medical school and stuff. You saw how she was. RN. Yeah. Oh, she was RN. Okay.
Yeah, she that's she really, even though like there would be nights where she would come home, after dealing with everything.
Yeah.
Working all day and then going to school and then dealing with my stepfather, right?
Yeah.
And then, he's asleep, and she's up at 3 a.m. I'm still up, because of course you hear these things, and as a kid, you're like, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I'm coming out there in the kitchen, and she's trying to heal her pain, and even though that wasn't the best way with alcohol, but you could see that the motivation to keep going is still there. She loved me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's kind of what I was going to ask you is, how have you taken the good things that you saw in your mom and applied them to your role as a father?
Man, just that unconditional love. If anything, she taught me that for sure, because it is there are days where she'd be like black eye.
Yeah.
It's like, but she's still like, are you good? Are you hungry? Like, do you like, let's do, even though I never understood, some of the things that she did do, I definitely would realize like she loved me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no matter what, like, you have to love your children. You have to, like.
And you've seen that you've been able to feel that as a father. Like how have you been able to see that, in your experience as a father when you're working 2 jobs and stuff, and are you able to apply that pretty well?
Yeah. I have my stepdaughter, right? And
okay.
It's hard enough being a father, right? And like I want to touch on being a stepfather. She's mine. I she's still mine, right?
Yeah,
you know, and
absolutely.
she's still, her father is involved, you know, occasionally.
Okay.
And but you know, it's so different, you know, trying to come into, you know, a child's life. And you know, I literally was from the abusive stepfather, you know, like, you know, like, I'm coming into your life. Definitely the opposite of that.
Okay.
You know, I definitely every everything I do, I'm like, is she, you know, how does she feel? Everything I definitely take into consideration. Anything, you know, she's doing, you know, her very involved with her school. Like this year, I'm going to be a substitute teacher at her school. You know, I'm going to be working in the concession stands with her, you know, just being really right there with her, because she's, you know, she's growing up. You know, and I only want her to see, you know, somebody. There's always somebody there for you.
I think that, first of all, like, man, that's huge. Like, that's amazing that you're doing what you are doing as a stepfather.
It to me, it's, why wouldn't you, right? You know, that's your daughter.
Exactly.
You know?
And so that's, honestly, and I've already kind of had the answer, but I wanted you to kind of to speak this out for the people watching, because what I'm hearing is, you know, one of the ways that you do your best as a stepfather is to involve yourself in that stepchild's life.
Yeah.
And so
be a father.
You're able to connect with her
Absolutely.
a lot easier when you involve yourself in the things that she has going on, like being a substitute teacher and stuff.
Definitely. Because like at first, right, I've been in her life since she was 4 years old.
Okay. How old is she now?
9.
Okay.
So I've been around. Like, you know, she's my daughter.
Absolutely.
You know, and at first, you know, I remember the first night when I met her, right? Because me and my wife now currently, we took things really slow.
Okay.
You know, she was like, I don't want you to meet my daughter yet. You know, let's, you know, we'll work on that.
Right.
And, you know, and then the first night, you know, it came naturally. And, you know, it's funny how, you know, he's just always working, you know, he's always there. You know, he's guiding you in that direction. And, you know, even that first night, she was like, I don't want you to leave. Like, ever since then, it's like, why wouldn't I? And, but it was rocky at first, right? Because, you know, you're just a guy.
Some random dude.
You're just a dude.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to think about that, right? And like at first, I feel like we would little arguments, right? You know, because kids are gonna be kids, and ask why or what if or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, just I've noticed, as long as I'm getting off my butt, you know, and like doing something with her, you know, and being a dad, like, you know, just with my 9-month-old, and even though she can't, you know, she's not really, you know, involved in
little,
totally do any of the things I do right now with my 9-month-old, who's, you know, eventually she's gonna get older.
That's huge, man. And I mean, the fact that you took it upon yourself, like I said, to involve yourself. I mean, that's gonna speak volumes as she gets older. And she'll remember that, you know.
Knows,
and so
it's very present now, because I mean, you know, like I'm going to work, she's like, I have to have that good night hug, have to have that good night kiss, you know. And that's the little things, you know, that I feel like as parents we live for.
Right.
You know, that little hug, that little, I know you have a son, you know, and he's making noise. How old is he?
Dude, he's 11 months.
Oh yeah, so he's almost talking, right?
You know, it's funny that you bring that up, because I was tickling him the other night, like his neck. He's real ticklish around his neck, and so I mean, he's supposed to be going to sleep. It was kind of late, but it was something about hearing his laughter that I just wanted to keep hearing it, you know. And even though I know he needs to go to sleep, I just kept tickling him because I just wanted to hear him laugh one more time. And so the things that you're bringing up, as far as, you know, even the little things, the little hugs and stuff like that. Now, based on your childhood, right, and the things that you've experienced, right, because you said that you experienced some, you know, abuse from your stepfather and stuff.
And then my father, he wasn't involved at all. I mean, and I actually, when I got older, I I had an abusive stepmother, so I would like go over to my real father's house, right? And she had kids and stuff. Yeah. And I would get it over there and I'd come home and get it at home, right? And eventually I came home with a black eye one day. And my mom, she was like, "You're not going back over there." And I was like, "Okay." You know, so I didn't see my father for quite some time, but we spoke over the phone or, you know, messages. Then eventually communication just went dark. And then I grew up and you know, I started to wonder like, what, why? So, you know, I went and met with him one day and was like, why were you okay with all that, you know, that happened, like the abuse, you know, like, he couldn't give me a straight answer. So, I mean, but you know, you learn to forgive because how are we going to grow? You know, how do we get over our anxieties, our fears, you know, the things we were talking about before, right? Because otherwise you're just gonna be stuck and you're not gonna grow. Yeah.
Dude, that's some wisdom, man. Because like you said, we were having a conversation about forgiveness and especially forgiving our fathers for the things that we felt like we lacked or the things that we wish we wouldn't have experienced as kids, the things that we knew were probably avoidable. But I think, like you said, like once we learn to forgive, we learn that we have allowed ourselves to expand, allowed ourselves to grow. Exactly. And so as fathers ourselves, we realize once we forgive our fathers, we realize that, man, they're human beings. And even though they made the choices that they did, and we don't necessarily agree with them now, we're going to make choices now that our kids may not agree with as they get older. And because we're human, and so we're going to want them to forgive us, you know? And so, you know, at the end of the day, it's just important to be able to forgive, right? Regardless of, you know, what kind of scale that you're using to weigh how much forgiveness you think somebody needs.
Right. Because me and you may have dealt with the absentee father or the abusive father or the abusive situation, but to our kids, taking away their TV is, why did you do that? You know, you know, that's that comparable. And there's
little things that, and actually, before I get into that, I want to backtrack a little bit to your experience with the abuse growing up. I mean, I just want you to kind of speak on how you're able to take that and it helped you find so much gratitude in the little things now as a father, like the little goodnight hugs or the goodnight kisses and stuff, because those were things that you were probably kind of deprived of as a kid.
Definitely.
And so kind of talk about how much, you know what I'm saying, how those two things relate.
Well, like I'd say, like, you know, when you're going through that, you're in like survival mode. You know, you're not worried about, oh, can I get that hug? You're not worried about hugs or kisses. Right. You're like, am I going to be able to go in the kitchen while you know, my stepdad's beating mom up, you know, and can I get something to eat? Yeah. You know, but to me, it's like, of course, whenever my kid walks up to me, it's like, can I have that ice cream? Why? Absolutely. Yeah. Why? Yeah. You know,
you want to make sure like
you're going to have more than that.
Oh,
you want, you know, like you deserve, our children deserve the world.
That's huge.
I mean, you know, and they may say too much of it, something can be bad, but like, to me, you know, I feel like we can't limit our children, you know, and try and tell them no, you know, and like they don't know not to get on top of the coffee table, and, you know, like, no, until you tell them. So, right. Don't, like, let's, you know, give them that, you know, that okay.
That's, dude, like, okay, I want to go back to what you just said, because you, in your experience witnessing the abuse, I mean, it made you afraid to even go in the kitchen and get yourself something to eat, because you didn't know, first of all, you didn't want to see what was happening, but also you didn't know you didn't know if you would also,
what are you looking at?
Exactly, you know? Exactly. And so, like, but now something within you, right, something within you had to change in order for you
a little bit, you know.
It does, and it makes you vulnerable. And then maybe, I mean, I guess because when we first met, you talked about how the presence of your wife and your stepdaughter really changed you for the better.
Definitely.
So let's kind of get into that a little bit about, because and I think it'll tie us into your relationship with God as well, because you said before that you had kind of
I lost my faith because when I was growing up, I was definitely that kid who was in church on Sundays. We're sitting at the pews and we're praying before we eat, and we're thankful for everything that we have, and but you grow up and you're like, man, why me? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, how come? Like, my mother, she passed away 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it's so crazy because I was just trying to rekindle our relationship after so long, because I had grown up, and my stepfather, she had finally left him.
Yeah.
And I had grown up and she was still, on alcohol really bad. And I was like, Mom, you gotta stop. Like, this is killing you.
Yeah.
And my ex at the time, they got into it real bad, and then I got kicked out. Okay. So I was like living house hopping, homeless almost. So, okay. And it's like, why, you lose God. You're in that, you're so focused on just trying to survive.
Right.
You're like, how could, you're almost like, how could God be real?
Yeah. Or even if you have a little bit of faith still that he is real, you're like, why are you allowing this to happen to me? Right.
Yeah.
And so from there.
But then, I met my wife, and I was still headed in the wrong direction before that. Yeah. Right. I was partying, because I just lost my mom. So to me, I'm like, celebrate. Well, not celebrate, but like when someone passes, we don't get sad in my house, right? We celebrate their life.
Okay.
And I was taking that celebrating just too far.
Okay.
But then I met her, and then I met, Callie, my daughter.
Okay.
And it immediately was like, what are you gonna do? You want to be with this woman who you love, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, she has a daughter who, now that's your daughter.
Yeah.
So you need to be a man.
Yeah.
Like, figure it out. Like, no more partying.
Yeah.
No more, hanging out with buddies till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
It's done.
Would you say during that time that you had, or that you felt that you had lost your faith for a little bit, would you say that you were you were in a point in your life where you were searching for purpose and it was just hard to find?
Yeah, man. Definitely. But at the same time, I knew who I was. I was like, I'm never going to give up regardless of the situation. I just wasn't headed in the correct direction.
Right, for sure.
I was hanging around people who just weren't helping me and weren't trying to see better for me.
Man,
definitely.
So, okay, and on that point in itself, right? Because we talked about friends or certain friends and how it relates to fatherhood. And so based on what you just said, as far as like you were hanging around people that weren't helping you, what message would you give to fathers out there on the importance of the people that you have around you and how it may impact you as a father? Like, what would you tell
children? If you're hanging out with your buddies till 3 a.m., your kid might be up on YouTube, on a school night, boom, and then now your kid's failing school, or now your kid's falling asleep in class, or and you have to be really careful about who you put in your circle, because it can affect your future. Definitely. And I've had just a blessing to meet so many wonderful people, especially here in town.
Yeah.
Like Lloyd, he's really helped me get back on track with my faith and my future, really, and my wife, and just like now I have like one good friend, or a few, but I could count them on one hand,
right? Right. So that's essential, and that's huge. Something that I've learned as well, because like you said, the people that you have in your life can affect your future. And if you're a father, then they're affecting your children, right? Your children and their future, like you said. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's important for a lot of fathers to understand that, like, you may think that, I would never do this to my kids or deprive them of this, but keep in mind that
there are different ways,
there are different
or other things you could deprive them
exactly of. And it may not, that deprivation may not look like what you think it's going to look like, right?
It doesn't have to be, you can't find food in the kitchen. It could be, where's dad? At 2 a.m. Or what are you doing? Like, you're doing horrible thing. You're drinking a beer. I mean, like, because I have pretty much like given up alcohol.
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that. Same here, like, bro. Same here. So. That's huge, though. Man, that's crazy. I'm glad I will keep saying I'm glad you brought that up, because you just kind of made me realize something. And I'm gonna bring this up, and I'm gonna ask you. But when it comes to the people that you allow in your life, right? If you have people in your life that are not actually benefiting you, especially as a father, yeah, like, how does that relate to alcohol? Because aren't they kind of, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of hand in hand. But I want you to kind of speak on that. Like, if you're somebody who pays a lot of attention to who you let in your life, because you don't want certain people to impact you negatively, how does that relate to somebody who says, but I still drink often?
Right. Well, and there's nothing wrong with drinking, right? Right. It's all in moderation.
Of course.
But for me, growing up, it's like I'm getting those hugs and kisses, but you've got alcohol in your breath. I don't want to be that dad. Right. I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. I don't want to be those parents who are, who you're trying to kiss me goodnight, but I've been outside smoking a cigarette,
Yeah. And like, and I also want to put out there, like, those things, we're not saying that those things are bad, are going to make you a bad father, or bad mother.
It's all in moderation.
Exactly. Just like you monitor who you let in and out of your life, you have to monitor the substances that you let in and out of your life as well. Right.
That's literally what my mom passed away from. Yeah. It was so just out of the blue, but in the end, the doctors were like, it's a mixture of alcohol and, the pills she was taking. And it's like, I watched her, go, I was given the decision, because she was in a coma for 2 weeks. Okay. And, you're watching somebody who she was such a strong woman, and, as I was trying to rekindle that flame with her, as I got older, it wasn't the same woman. She had been beat, and I was like, that flame had gone. Yeah. It's so crazy to see, how just people, in moderation. Yeah. Just into moderation, man.
Yeah.
It can kill you.
That's a great message, bro. And like I said, I hope that anybody watching, like, really gets that piece of it. Like, when, you make your decisions as far as whether you drink or not. But if you do, your experience and your message to them is in moderation. Like, and that goes with anything. The people you let in your life, the amount of social media you take in, food, anything that you let into your life, but especially substances like alcohol, pills, cigarettes, drugs. Anything. I mean, and honestly, depending on the drug, you don't even need to moderation means, hey, I'm not, what I'm saying? But when it comes to those things that are questionable, as far as is it going to be harmful to you? Is it going to be harmful to your kids? Exactly. You need, and that's huge to every father out there, because you may think that, oh, this isn't hurting them, but you don't see what's happening beneath the surface.
Because not everybody has had, the bad experiences I've had, right? With most adults right in my life. But, right. Like, I had a buddy who I would walk to his house every day, right? Yeah. And, his parents they own their home, they have a nice pool in the backyard, but his issues are different. You know, he may not have been dealing with that abuse, but he was dealing with like what he would describe to me as, he's like, I get sad and like I just eat, and he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, you know, well, you know, and that's his, you know, but the things that we go through in life teach us how to deal with that.
Right.
You know, and some of us learn from it, and some of us just stay stagnant.
Right, staying stagnant. And that's big. And that's a great message in itself too, is learning how to take the things that you've experienced in your life and make them work for your good.
Put it into God's. I mean, the Bible talks about it. I mean, even though, like I said, I may have lost that faith for a long time. I think there's a book that's like it's called Sands, Walking in the Sand.
Okay.
Right. There's two sets of footprints, you know, yours, and then you don't know the other, or not, maybe not, it wasn't yours, but there's two sets of footprints, and it's always God walking alongside you. Even though your footprints may disappear, he will still continue going forward.
Amen. That's, man.
He will carry you.
Yes. You know? And honestly, the words that I'm hearing you speak based off of what you experienced as a young kid and what you're doing now as a father, this is God all over your life, bro. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just,
I made it this far.
Yeah, because I mean, we're so jacked up as humans, as these beings that we call human. We fall so short. And so the fact that you have come so far, I mean, for me, it just strengthens my belief in God or even more. You know what I'm saying? Like it strengthens my belief that God is present, God is faithful. You know what I'm saying? Man, but like I said, man, that's really nourishing to my spirit to hear what you've been through and see where you've come. And I hope that this is going to bless somebody out there who may be going through something similar or may have been through something similar, and help them realize, like, I don't even know how to, I mean, because you hear it so many times that you don't have to repeat the cycle. But I think you said it in a great way that that, you know, your mom had that flame. She had that, she was a strong woman. She had this fire about her. And, you know, unfortunately, from your perception, you know, the alcohol
eventually it caught up.
Right. You know? It caught up, and it may have died the fire out. But the life that you're living, see, the choice that you chose to make, which was to see the positives in her and apply them to your role as a father. In my eye, from my perception, I see it as you carrying that torch. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? You're carrying that torch. You're carrying that flame on. You know, she had that flame in her. We all have that God within us. You know, in the world and things that we experience in our lives, they kind of crowd around it.
Yeah, you know? make you forget that he's working.
Right.
He's still here.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about earlier, you know, as men, we get so wrapped up in what's next. Yeah. You know, what are we gonna do? Like, I should be doing something. I feel like, why do I feel this way? Like, but really, we need to stay still, be still, and like you were talking about, and being a father, be still in your work and your family, and just be the best father, the best person you can be. Because I mean, in the end, your kids are watching. Our children are watching.
Yes. So yeah, I really want to harp on what you talked about in being still, because I know that's something that I struggle with. And if anybody that's watching this is anything like me, sometimes you wake up and feel like you're not doing enough. And you feel like you're not fulfilling your purpose. Or if you're somebody that's not as, you know,
get up and go
deep as me, you know, and saying purpose, you just don't feel fulfilled. You feel like you need to be doing more, and then you start putting more on your plate, putting this on your plate, putting this on your plate. And what you just said, I hope speaks to a lot of fathers out there who experience that like I do.
Because we can always be chasing, you know, sometimes we need to
be still. Be still, and because you've already been called to be a father You've already been called to be a husband. In your case, you've already been called to be a man on this planet, you know, but essentially, because at the core of what we're doing is for fathers. And so essentially, for any father watching this, you've already been called to be a father. So be still in that. And how do you be still in that? Because that's something that I would ask myself is like, how do you be still?
Just spend time with your family, you know, because I mean, one day, you know, they're not going to be here, you know, or you're not going to be here.
Right.
You know, so you just
do the best you can.
Go to the pool. Go to the pool. Go to the park.
Yeah.
You know, play catch outside.
Yeah.
You know, just the smallest things that, you know, to us, oh, I'm too tired or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You know, like just get up. You know, do it. You know,
do the best you can while you can. Right. Because when you feel
not forever.
Yeah, exactly.
The moment you were born, like it all got risky.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That's huge, bro. So like, yeah, for anybody that's struggling with fulfillment, especially fathers out there, remember that the first thing when you're struggling looking for purpose, remember that you already have been given you've already been given a purpose that you know 100% is yours, and that's to be a father.
Definitely.
And so walk in that purpose first. Be the best you can be in that purpose first, and then other doors will start to open up along the way. It's kind of what I'm getting from this conversation, and something that the Lord has really spoken to my life recently, and that I'm gonna try and hold on to the best as I can. But man, that's huge. And so my last question for you, brother, is if you could have any superpower, what would it be, and what would your superhero name be?
Probably to read minds.
Okay.
Because I have a house full of girls, so like I'm always like, you know, like what do you want? Like, you know, what do you need? Like, you know, because you know, girls,
that's a great answer. You know what? I think that's an answer that most of us, or most of you girl dads would have, but also a lot of us that are husbands too.
Yeah,
like I wish I could read my wife's mind, like, because then I know where she wants to eat. Yeah, I know, you know what I'm saying, where she wants to go do, if she doesn't want to do nothing that day. That's funny. I like that answer. Man. That's perfect. Well, dude, I just, like I said, from the bottom of my heart, like literally, it's just for everybody that's watching. This is the second time that I've actually seen this dude in person. And so with that being said, I mean, the fact that you were willing to do this interview in order to bless somebody else out there, you know, because I already told you I'm blessed by it at the very least, just the conversation. But the fact that you're willing to do this, man, means a lot.
You put out a lot of, you know, great content and really positive energy stuff, you know. Amen. Hopefully we'll be able to get together a lot more.
Yes.
Do stuff, you know, barbecue or something.
Hey, dude. Hey, we're right. I literally took me 4 minutes to get here from my house. So, dude, we'll get together some more. But man, I'm just glad that you're able to do this. For anybody watching, my man Dylan Syms, real estate agent in the Taylor, Texas area, but you sell homes kind of everywhere. Austin Metro area. So shout out to you for that. Girl dad, 2 baby girls, willing stepfather, like you're just doing so many amazing things in that alone. You know what I'm saying? Just the fact that you are a stepfather, you are a father to your beautiful 9-month-old baby girl, and you're a husband to your wife, bro. So I just want to say thank you for what you are doing and what you will do going forward, man. And just hold on tight to that flame that you said your mom had. You know what I'm saying? That's and honestly, I say those things because it just really blessed me. So thank you, bro.
Even when you lose your loved ones, you know, they're still there. Yeah, they're still there with you, and you just gotta do you
continue to carry that positivity that they have. Search for that positivity and then carry it. That's what I learned from you, bro. That's huge, man. Well, thank you, bro. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That was beautiful, man. Hi. High five? Nah, she's little. My son barely let me do it. Yeah. High five?
She does.
She will?
Yeah.
High five?
She's like,
she's so pretty.
Man.
Hi.
They're awesome, dude.
Yeah, I know, dude. She's cute. I'll tell you when to count, okay? Ready? All right, count.
1, 2.
Okay, that's good.